Hey, what's going on YouTube? And welcome back to all my cloud scholars out there. My name is Kieran Tross, and I want to thank you for clicking on this video. In today's video, I am going to walk you through how to configure a data loss prevention policy in Microsoft Purview. My title says data loss prevention in Microsoft Purview. I should have added policy, but you get the point. So before we even get into how to configure a data loss prevention policy in Purview, we need to figure out and find out what is DLP. So I want to define it first, provide you what the purpose is before we get into the video. Trust me, I will not PowerPoint you to death. If any of you have watched any of my other videos, I go through a quick PowerPoint slide just so that we're all on the same page, and then we dive into roll our sleeves up and go into the portal. So first, a brief definition. Data loss prevention, also known as DLP, is a set of tools and strategies used to ensure that sensitive information does not get lost, misused, or accessed by unauthorized users. Now, what's the purpose? DLP is critical for data security, compliance, and protecting sensitive information from an unauthorized exposure. And number three, the key functions are data monitoring, data classification, and policy enforcement to prevent data leakage. So when DLP is in action, there are key areas and essential components. Well, one, cloud services. You're monitoring and managing those cloud services that you're interacting with, such as 365. You can also do stuff with Google Workspace and things of that nature when it comes to DLP. Endpoint devices, laptops, mobile devices, email communication. We're trying to prevent data exfiltration. And then also file sharing and collaboration platforms like Teams. All right, so when we look at DLP, it's not just DLP, right? DLP has a symbiotic relationship between sensitive information types and sensitivity labels, right? Altogether, they prevent data exfiltration. Now, I have a video on sensitive information types and sensitivity labels. I would definitely urge you to watch that just so you can get a better understanding. But when you really put all these three items together, you're able to really make sure that you are preventing data exfiltration. So, sensitive information types act as foundation by identifying and classifying specific types of data, financial details, personally identifiable information. They provide the criteria that allows DLP to detect sensitive data across systems. So sensitive information type would be like a US passport number, social security number, things of that nature. Sensitivity labels add a layer of classification, categorizing data based on its security needs. Labels guide how sensitive information is handled and dictate the level of control DLP applies to that data. For example, documents labeled as confidential might trigger stricter DLP policies. And then we also have DLP policy, leverage both sensitive information types and sensitivity labels to enforce protection using criteria from sensitive information types and the designated sensitivity level. DLP automatically applies rules that prevent data from being shared, accessed, or moved inappropriately. All right, so we are switching over to the Microsoft Purview page. You can easily just go to purview.microsoft.com and you will get to this page. Once you get to the home screen, you should see it look like this. You should do data loss prevention. Well, possibly when you watch this video, it may look a little different. Microsoft's always changing the GUI. Hopefully you are not using the old version, the classic version. They are actually discontinuing that. So we're going to work with the new version because we have to get acclimated with it, even if we like it or not. So we're going to come over here to data loss prevention. Once you get into data loss prevention, you're going to click over here at the policies. Now here is all your DLP policies. This is exactly where they will show. Right, so if we go through this, you have the option to create policies. You can export your policies. If you create one, it's not showing up, just hit refresh. Down here, you have the name of your policies, the priority. So please keep in mind, I've seen people get confused by this. The lower the priority, right? The lower the number, the higher the priority, right? So for instance, if you have a priority of 0, which is showing up here, this has the highest priority rather than these two down here. So if you wanted to move things around, you would have to change the priority number because that is the one that is the Purview is going to look at first before going and moving on to the next one. We have the date last modified. This is, this is straight out of the box of the Office 365 tenant. So this is what you get when you first get into it. And then you have your status here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on create policy. Now, the great thing about Purview is that they give you some templates, so you don't really have to start off from scratch. If you come down here to custom, you can start off from scratch and start your own template. What I like to do is, depending on the business vector that I'm in, I like to start off with those policies. If I need to add some more, you have the ability to do that as well. So for instance, you can search specific templates down here, or you could search for different countries and regions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to United States, and then right here, I'm going to click on anything. I could just go to enhanced. This is a new one that they have going on here. So right here, it says, check out our new enhanced policy templates. These enhanced templates extend several of the original templates by also detecting name entities, such as full names and physical address. Just look at the templates labeled enhanced and start protecting even more personal data. So we're going to go to US Patriot Act Enhanced. And over here, it says, helps detect the presence of information commonly subject to US Patriot Act, including information like credit card numbers or tax identification numbers, so on and so forth. And it says protects this information, credit card, bank account, your individual tax identification number, all full names and physical addresses. Now up here, when I clicked enhance, it said enhanced templates currently aren't supported for the following locations. So on-premise file repositories, Power BI, Azure Storage, Azure SQL, AWS, so on and so forth. So just keep that in mind if you're going in enhance, that you will not be able to do all of that. So you might want to come back and do another DLP policy where you can now leverage those locations. So over here, you could name your policy. We'll leave it as US Patriot Act Enhance. In the description, you could put whatever description you need to put for other people in your organization, in your company, so that this way you're all on the same page. You may have a naming convention for your DLP policies. You may not. Each company is different. All right, the next section is assign admin units. So it says choose the admin units you'd like to assign this policy. Admin units are created in Microsoft Entra ID and restrict the policy to a specific set of users or groups. So essentially, you have admin units if you have a large team and you want to have certain members have access to monitor and manage a certain portion of your company. You might have, an admin unit for the West Coast and an admin unit for the East Coast, so on and so forth. We're not dealing with any admin units for this video, so we're just going to click on next. So over here, it says we'll apply the policy to data that's stored in the locations you choose. All right. It's also saying protecting sensitive info on premise. Note that there are prerequisite steps needed to support this new capability. So we're not going to worry about on premise. Remember, we got that message earlier, so we're just going to check that off. Now we have different options for the different locations, right? So you have Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, devices, instances, so on and so forth. And your scope is where you want to have everything sorted out. So you can change this up and say, okay, I don't want my scope to be the whole thing, right? I can edit that and I can choose specific sites if I wanted to. And if I want to exclude a site, I can exclude them as well. And if I go down here to teams and channels, same thing. Right now it's on all users and groups. I can say I want specific users and groups, and then click include users and groups, and then a pop-up will show up and say, okay, which users and groups I can choose. So if I click here, I get to choose. If I want to choose any of these, I can go ahead and do that if I need to do that as well. So we're going to leave it to all users and groups. We're not going to do anything there. I just wanted to show you about how you can specify certain groups, or if you want to do enhance. Let's say you have a SharePoint site and your company is, doing a acquisition and you have all the data located on that SharePoint site. You would only allow certain individuals to be in there. You don't want the deal to get compromised in any way, because that deal is going to increase revenue for your organization. You would do a DLP policy around that SharePoint site if you wanted to, and only add the people who are involved in that deal and who need to know about it. All right, so here it says, decide if you want to use default settings from the template you selected to quickly set up a policy or configure custom rules to refine. So we're not going to go into this whole create or customize rules. We'll leave it to the way we have it here. But do remember, information to protect, we can add more. So we can start off with the templates they provide, but we can click here and go to edit. So let's go through what this is really quickly. So choose the type of content to protect. This policy will protect content that matches these requirements. You can choose the sensitive info types and existing labels. So this is a group. If you see everything from here where it says group, I can change this and say group 1 if I wanted to. Or I can do something where I can say, you know, something like is it gonna let me do that? Okay, it's not letting me do that, but I can say something like medium confidence up here, or I can just keep it to group 1 the way it was originally set up, like that. And then down here it says group operator, any of these, all of these if you want. And then down here we have our sensitive info types. Remember, I said that DLP and sensitive information types and also labels have a symbiotic relationship. And this is why, because within the DLP is going to look for a sensitive information type, right, in order for it to execute whatever restrictions you are applying. So for instance, down here, we have credit card number, US bank account number, US individual taxpayer, all the stuff that we chose. Over here, we have the different confidence levels, right? So we can click here, we can say low, medium, or high confidence level. And instance counts. So essentially, the instance counts refers to the number of times a specific type of sensitive information type is detected within a document or email or some type of data, right? So an example would be if DLP policy scans an email and finds 3 separate credit card numbers, the instant count for that sensitive information type would be at 3. So if we wanted to, remember, this is group 1, right? We have this and or here, and this is another group down here. So if we wanted to do something where we did, hey, okay, let's add a sensitive information type right here, and we have credit card, we can type in credit card and we can click add. So now we have credit card here and we have credit card up here. I can say, all right, a medium confidence level would be anything between 1 and 9. Now over here for credit card, I could say this, a high confidence level can be anywhere from 10, and I can leave it as any. Now over here, which I should have went through before, when you click on this, it says supported instant counts. Minimum count between 1 and 500 instances. Maximum count is between 1 and 500 or any instance, right? So if I wanted to be a little more specific, I can say anything between, you know, I'll give it a little higher one than that, right? So it's giving me an error message because it's seeing that it doesn't have everything there. So I can say 20 over here. That gave me 200, and I can say 500. Now that message goes away. So you see how we have our different groups. I can now say this is name. I can say, if it's going to allow me this time, it keeps doing that. Group 2. Now let me erase this. There we go. It needs something in there, so that's why you just type it out. All right. So or I can do something like medium confidence if I wanted to, and this would be my medium confidence group. And then over here, I will say high confidence. And then over here, I just go back and just take it out that way. So you can change, you can add more, right? So I can add another sensitive information type. I could do a trainable classifier if I wanted to. So this could be all medium confidence. I could do 1 through 9, and then I can add the same sensitive information types and then do it between, you know, 10 through 20 or something like that. I'm just making up some numbers here, but I'm pretty sure you get the picture. You can modify this how you want, and you can leave this as a medium section and your high section as well. And then you could also create an additional group if you wanted to. So let's say if I did 1 through 9 and then 10 through 20 here, I could do 30 through 500 here if I wanted to, but I'll delete this one. So I think we're good here. I will click on save, and that is that, right? So you see it has the and here, and then it also added some more information for us as well. So over here it says we're in the protection actions. We'll automatically create detailed activity reports so you can review the content that matches this policy. So right here it says when content matches the policy conditions, show policy tips to users and send them an email notification. So right here, if you click on this, it says tips appear to users in their apps like Outlook, OneDrive, SharePoint. So if you click here, it's going to bring a window out, and this is where you could go to the Microsoft page and it will show you about policy tips. So this is how policy tips will show up, right? Within your documents, letting the user know, hey, this file conflicts with a policy in your organization. If you don't resolve this conflict, access to this file might be blocked. Now that is depending on how you set up the DLP policy and if you want to allow overrides, which was in that picture. So if I customize the tip and email, I can create policy tips and email notifications that are tailored to your organization, right? So it says show me the default tip and email text. If I click here, it's going to bring me back to that same page. It's just letting you know exactly how it will look. If I come down here, I could say, okay, show users a policy tip when an activity is restricted. I can check that. I could customize the notification. I could put a notification title. I could put a notification content. Down here, notify users in Office 365 service with a policy tip or email notification. So you can preview and edit the notification email. You can have this option to customize sender display name. You have the option to customize email subject, and you also have the option to customize the email body. Down here, it says notify the user who sent the shared or last modified the content. I can just notify them, or I can say notify these people. So it's the same thing up here, but now you have the option of owner of the SharePoint site or OneDrive account. And you also have the option for owner of the SharePoint or OneDrive content. So don't get confused. This is two different individuals, right? Or it might be the same person sometimes, but most of the time it's going to be two different individuals. This is the OneDrive or SharePoint account, and this is the content. So let's just make sure you keep that in mind. Down here, it says send email to additional people. So let's say, for instance, you have in your organization a security governance team. You may want to add them there so that this way they are aware of what's going on and if anybody's making any silly mistakes. Then you also have attach matching a message to the notification, applies only to Exchange. And then you also have customize the policy tip text, and you have other things here that you can play around with as well. So we'll leave it the way it is. Then we have detect when a specific amount of sensitive info is being shared at one time. You can say at least 10 or more instances of the same sensitive information type if you wanted to. And then also send incident reports in email. By default, you and your global admin will automatically receive the email. Incident reports are supported only for activity in Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. And then you can say choose what to include in the report and who to receive it. You have these options here where you can say the name of the person who last modified the content, the type of sensitive content that matched the rule, the rule severity level, the content that matched the rule, including the surrounding text, and the item containing the content that matched the rule. So I would leave all these options on because it just gives you more information. So now here you have send alerts in any of the DLP rule match. By default, you and your global admin will automatically be alerted in DLP rules match, and you can customize this as well. So they're giving you all this different stuff that you can customize. You can go through this and you can, customize the alert configurations. And then down here, we have restrict access or encrypt the content in Microsoft 365 locations. We'll leave that checked off. Okay, here we have customized access and override settings. So if you want to allow users to override it, this is where you would make those modifications. So if I click here, it's restrict access or encrypt the content in Microsoft 365 locations. So we have block users from receiving email or access in Share Drive, OneDrive, Team Files, and Power BI. I can block only people outside the organization and block everyone. What I would suggest that you do is when you are not really sure, because sometimes you're reading through it, you're like, didn't really get that. Go over here to this symbol and it will give you a little bit more information. So only users in your organization will receive Exchange email and have access to files shared from SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. And then how here it says Exchange email won't be sent to recipients in fork matching rules. Please use non-bifurcating access scope to block all the recipients present in the original message. So I don't know about blocking everyone. You probably want to block only people outside your organization, but it's up to you. It's your DLP rule you're setting up. And then it says, let people who see the tip override the policy. So you can require a business justification, which sounds great for me. And then you can also override the rule automatically if they report it as false positive. And then require the end user to explicitly acknowledge the override. Down here, we have audit or restrict activities on devices. Right now, over here, I can't click on anything, but once I click here, I have the option to click over here. So service domains and browser activities detect when protected files are blocked or allowed to be uploaded. So I say upload to a restricted cloud service domain or access from an unallowed browser. If I click over here, it gives me some more information and tells me where it's applied. So for this one, it applies only to files uploaded from Microsoft Edge, Chrome, and it also detects when protected files are blocked or allowed to be uploaded. So you can audit this, you can block with override, or you can just block. Over here, you can say, sorry, I skipped something. Choose different restrictions for sensitive service domains. So you can do things based on certain, domains that you want to block. And then also you can paste to supported browsers. Now right here, if I click on it, detects when users paste sensitive information in a text field or web form using Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, with Microsoft Purview extension or Mozilla Firefox with the Microsoft Purview extension. So you have to have the extension there as well. And you could audit and you can block or override. And then you could choose different restrictions for sensitive domains as well. So we're going to take that off. Down here, file activity for all apps. Down here, you're getting to more about the cloud app security, right? So you can hear, if I click here, I can say restrict third-party apps, use one of the automatically actions provided by Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. So if it's Box, I can send policy match digest to file owner. If I click over here, it says each time a policy match is detected, the file owner will receive an email digest of all their policy matches in the last 5 minutes. You can remove external users. You have all these different, even G Suite, Cisco WebEx, Dropbox, Salesforce. You have a lot of different things that you can change here for the third-party apps and how you want to control them as well. So I'm just going to click on next. So then policy mode, right? So you can test this policy before turning it on to verify if it needs improvement or it meets all your objectives. If you turn the policy on right away, you can edit it later and safely test these out. So anyone working in IT, if you are in any fashion of IT, or it's not even IT, you're going to want to test things out first, right? You're not just want to set something up and push it out. I mean, you have a hard day, right, at work. So you can run the policy in simulation mode. I would definitely advise you to do that so you can see how it works. You have the option to show policy tips while in simulation mode. You also have turn the policy on if it's not edited within 15 days of simulation mode. So for instance, you have it running in simulation mode and you're testing it out, and somebody might have forgot that, hey, this is, we're testing it out and we just forgot to turn it on. You can turn it on here for yourself as well. So after 15 days, there's no edits. And that's the key thing, no edits. It's going to turn on for you. You also have the option to turn the policy on immediately or leave the policy turned off. So once I click next, here I will have the review and finish for this page, and then I can click submit. All right, so now you can see it says new policy has been created. Data loss prevention policy has been created. So that is it. We are all set. We are all done. You have created your first DLP policy. I would definitely say pat yourself on the back. It really is not that difficult. There are a lot of different options. I would suggest that you test them out, especially with the instance counts. That's the area that you're probably going to want to, give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. I like the whole low, medium, and high confidence there. You don't want to get yourself overpopulated with alerts. So this is a quick run through of it, but definitely test it out within your environment. You might want to do it to a smaller group of individuals and see how that works before you throw it out to the whole organization. So at this point, this is where I ask you to like and subscribe. Please leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about the video, or if there's something in DLP that you are trying to test out and you're not really sure about. I'm pretty quick with responding to individuals on YouTube. So please, I would like to hear from the audience. So So once again, I want to thank you for watching this video. My name is Kieran Tross here at Cloud Scholars. My goal is to get you from scholar to consultant, of course, consultant to expert. Thank you, and see you next time.